I probably will reference week 1 a little bit, but not
Totally.
heavy, just because there's a couple of correlations that I think have been popular for the Bears.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, let's jump into that. So you boys are what? You guys are 2-0, huh?
Somehow, yeah, top of the NFC, just like everyone
Top
predicted.
of the division.
Us and the Saints.
Dare we say you guys are running the North?
Fair to say. Fair to say. We're running the North right now. We'll see how long that lasts. I feel like the first 2 weeks of the season are always a little fluky with like how the preseason is these days. It's like, try not to get too worked up about anything, but like, it's nice we went toe to toe with the Niners and came out on top, even though like we tried to shoot ourselves in the foot a little bit. But you know, I'll take a win over a loss any day. As much as people feel like the trend on the internet is like, if your team's not going to win the Super Bowl, just like tank and blow it up and restructure. But I like having something to root for every year, so I'll take our wins where we can get them.
Oh, you know, a 97-yarder from JJ to start the game.
That was sweet. Or something? That was nuts. So sweet. Oh yeah, we were at McGovern's
in a season, let alone game 2.
Yeah, I mean, I stood up before we were at McGovern's. I stood up before the pass was caught because I was like, no way. And then he caught it, and like the place just went berserk. There was like a freaking cowbell in the background. So I love being in places like that for Vikings games.
Yeah,
super cool. I just saw a stat that it was Justin Jefferson ran 127 yards on that play, which is like the longest a player has run on any play since they began tracking like distance.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Cool.
I thought for sure Hill would have that one. Tyreek would have that doing one of his, coast to coast things. That's wild to hear.
Yeah, that was a cool play.
Did you catch the whole game at the bar?
What's that?
Did you catch the whole game at the bar then?
No, we left in the second quarter just to like kind of multitask, get some stuff done at home, but we had seen enough. We're mostly just there for lunch, honestly, but yeah, good game. Hey, did you even get a chance to watch it? When did you get back from your flight?
No, we got back Monday, but no, I was relegated to family duty. I went with the in-laws to do some apple picking in the 87-degree weather.
Nice.
That was interesting, but the boys had fun. I got a couple of nephews that are 3-1, so they had fun. We're out in Jordan, Minnesota, so it was a good time. Cool. So no, I didn't get a chance. I saw a couple highlights of your game, but I was just looking at the box score. You guys both had 400 yards of offense, which I didn't see that coming. And not as a slight to anyone, but just, with McCaffrey out and Darnold in game 2 against a former team, you'd think that like the Niners know how to scheme for him, given that he was on their backup all last year.
Yeah.
I was not, so it was 23-17 was the final. I was not expecting the Niners to have 7 more first downs than you, but also go 2 for 10 on third down efficiency.
Yeah.
When you guys were above 500. That's crazy, but 2 for 10, you don't see that out of the Niners ever. What were you guys doing? Were you guys blitzing a lot?
Yeah. It's just Flores' scheme. I mean, Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell. Such a good match. Like, I think all that Flores is really doing is he's disguising coverages a lot. Like, you see there's like, he'll line 9 guys up on the line of scrimmage, and then the ball's hiked, and they're in Tampa too. And so I think it was just really confusing the hell out of Purdy. Dialed up a fair bit of pressure. I think we got 4 sacks yesterday.
Nope, 6.
6, yeah. Wow, even more than I thought. But yeah, they would kind of march it down the field, but we were getting timely stops. That was kind of the name of the game. It's just timely stops, and it's kind of nice that we were able to pull out a win, even though it's not like their offense was completely stalled. Their offense was working, but it was good.
Well,
it was
and they
a good
had
game.
5 more minutes. Well, they had 10 more minutes of time of possession too. So it's not often you see the Niners lead in time of possession, but also only have 20% conversion on third down and have 7 more first downs, but lose the game. So it was like back and forth, but the turnover column was the same. Mm-hmm. You guys had 4 sacks allowed. They had 6 sacks allowed, 3 punts the same, 1 fumble, 1 pick each team. So it was like, not a whole lot going on there. Can't say because it was second quarter, but that JJ play really changed the dynamic of the game, being that it was in the first half still.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that the time of possession thing, will get swayed when you throw a 97-yard bomb, like the second play of a drive.
So does the 400-yard thing too, right? So then it's really like 300 yards the rest of the day.
Yeah.
It makes it even more perplexing. It's like, how did they not win this game? Because everything in the box score, aside from the third down efficiency, is Niners football, is what Kyle wants to do, scheme in a game. And you guys were able to pull that out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we can keep it going against the Texans. I don't know if I feel any higher or lower on the Texans after watching them against you guys. Like, it was kind of hard to know what to take from that game. Like, are the Texans...
Sure.
It almost felt like they were underperforming, or maybe the Bears are just better than we think, and they were giving the Texans a challenge. Hard to say. I don't know. I will say it looked rough for Caleb Williams. When I checked the box score and I saw he had almost had 200 yards passing, over 200 yards of offense when he threw the rushing in there, I was like, oh. Like, honestly, It seemed way worse when we were watching it. Like, I thought it was going to be another sub-100-yard passing performance, but not quite as dire.
Well, let me start with the top there. For the Houston Texans, they're going to be the real deal. They are going to be a playoff team. They're going to win the division. Like, I have no question now. It was a defensive battle for sure. They were stunting like crazy. They obviously, D'Amico Ryan, so they run a very similar, cover 3, hard nose style, load the box up style like San Fran, because that's obviously where he came from. The offense is good.
Tell me, cover 3, like, explain that for me.
So usually you have your front doesn't really matter. We're talking about coverage. So that's the defensive back safeties. You got the deep section of the field is cut into thirds. So the two corners usually take their, sideline to the hash, and then you have one deep safety in the middle with the other one rolling down, usually into a hook or a flat defender. So what that looks like, if you have cover 2, cover 4, or shell coverage, you got 2 corners on the outside, 2 safeties up, which means you only got 7 guys in the box. If you do the 3 high or the single high, like we talked about, you got cover 3, you bring one of those safeties down into the box. So instead of 7 in the box, you got 8 in the box. But that 8th guy in the box can either be an edge, a contained defender, or be one of those shallow, flat defenders in the pass. So it's a way to stack the box. What they were doing, they were keeping their shell. They ran a lot of man. And that's what I would want to do too against a rookie. And that's what they did with Caleb. They blitzed all fucking day long. And I don't blame them. But what was really embarrassing for the Bears is that they were sending 5 95% of the time. I'm exaggerating, but it was a lot. Sometimes they'd send 6, and then if you got 5 linemen, that's one-on-one. Send the 6, then obviously you have somebody help, or you got to get the ball out. So the whole point of that is you want the rookie to have to make a decision, and you want to try to rattle his cage. What did not help is the Bears' offensive line was so awful, especially in the interior. They couldn't pick up simple stunts, which means like you have got 2 linemen on defense. One's going to go under and over. Right. Real easy. My high school offensive line could have picked up some of those better, and I know they have. So to your point about is Houston the real deal? They were fast as shit on defense. I mean, they were flying around. Guys were getting there quick, fast, in a hurry, and with a purpose. But they were hitting hard. And not to make you feel bad, but Daniil Hunter was vicious. Will Anderson, the second-year guy out of Bama, vicious. He was the defensive player of the year last year, which is also wild for them. Rookie of the year offense, rookie of the year defense, and their number 2 and over 3 picks. But overall, the game was a real just defensive juggernaut type of game because the Bears defense was for real too. We had 3 sacks, should have been 4, penalty, whatever. Bears gave up 7 sacks. So Caleb got crushed. And you're going to see that meme where he's sitting back on the bench like this here. And he's like, oh, it's bad leadership. I was like, no, dude. I'm not trying to be a truther, but he's clearly absolutely exhausted. Every play he's running for his life. And to take a hit like that from not just one 275-pound guy coming full speed at you untouched, but like 4, and maybe a couple of your other guys. And he's smaller than you and I together.
Well, one of them, I mean, probably multiple of them, but one of them, he just got like absolutely buried, like blind. I guess it wasn't necessarily his blind side, but you can just tell he didn't see him coming. Like the defensive lineman just blew past I think it's your right guard, just blew past him.
Sucks.
And I can't describe it as anything other than buried Caleb Williams. Like textbook tackle. And I was like, God damn, that's gotta hurt. And that wasn't his first sack. That wasn't the first time Caleb got hit that day either. I was like, welcome to the big leagues, fella.
Right. I gotta hand it to him though, because like for all the all the people that are like, oh, he's a diva, he's drama, he's not a good teammate, he's fake, all this stuff. I mean, he proved, if nothing, he proved that he's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, to get up like that, K's down there for a second, catch a breath, pops right back up. I mean, to get hit like that twice in a game, it gets you skittish. Now it's 7 sacks. That was the other part. They had 37 passing attempts.
Mm-hmm.
He was pressured on 36 of them. Hit on 11, sacked on 7. Now, there's a couple more plays that were pass plays that turned into runs because he scrambled or something like that with a penalty. So probably closer to 45, 50. Of the 66 offensive plays they ran, that has to be, I haven't seen anything on the Twitter sphere or anything, or sorry, the X, whatever. But that's got to be close to pushing a record for the amount of times the guys got hit. They never even hit that with Justin Fields back there. They had the Cleveland game where he got sacked 7 times. So anybody that's trying to put this game on Caleb, again, not trying to be a truther, you really don't know what you're watching when you're watching football and just how bad the interior of our line was. Well, the whole line played like shit as a unit, so you can't just put it on the 3. But, I mean, that was really embarrassing.
I think you called that out at the beginning of the year, too, where I was like, well, so what's their weak spot? And you were like, interior O-line. And you're just kind of seeing that, which I feel like that's a pretty consistent theme throughout the entire league. Like, interior O-line, I think they're just the most forgotten about position in football, like at the collegiate level. You know, I think as far as like quality prospects and like talent and skill, they're just always at the bottom of the totem pole, whereas like the defensive line talent just keeps improving, and the interior O-line, even just O-line talent in general, seems to be pretty stagnant, and it's just leading to Q. You sent me the stat today of all the, you know, the touchdown thrown touchdowns thus far in the season, how far down it is, and it's like, I think that's a huge factor, and like O-lines are just getting killed.
It's really, the game is changing back to a running game. So, it was, we were seeing from 2015 to 2022, it was about 100, give or take a few. We had one outlier in 2017, 100 touchdowns, passing touchdowns in the first 2 weeks. Last year was 86, and this year it's 66, aside from Monday Night Football, which I think only had 1 passing touchdown, maybe 2. So that is down, 30%? That's
Something like that.
It's always blown my mind. Like, obviously, okay, we've all seen the blind side. The quarterback is the most important thing. That's buying the house. What's the first thing you do when you're buying a house? You get the insurance. You get the insurance by getting your left tackle, right? Okay, we understand the tackle is the most important, but I don't understand how the center position, literally the quarterback of the offensive line, the guy doing the shifts, calling blitzes, audibles, all that type of stuff there for the quarterback to make your quarterback's life easier, how that position has not been, how it has been devalued so quickly. I mean, we just saw Jason Kelce retire. We're going to watch the Eagles game tonight and see if that really has anything to do with their changing. I mean, they got a lot of studs on that offensive line, but it means something. You talk about when Travis Frederick retired for the Cowboys, their offensive line hasn't been the same for the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, Jets, you have Nick Mangold. You can go down the line of all the great centers, and those offensive lines, you couldn't name anybody else on those offensive lines, but yet they had the most dominant offensive lines of the year. It blows my mind. I have to get some numbers on that for next time.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm ignorant to it. But it makes me wonder how much like how much intellectual ability is needed for the offensive line, because I feel like I've heard the center referred to as like the quarterback of the offensive line, where like they have to diagnose. Like I mean, I don't know if it's the QB making protection calls, if sometimes it's the center making protection calls, but at very least the center's has to translate something if the quarterback's making audibles. And is it purely just like the offensive line game is getting dumbed down, just like the quarterback game is getting dumbed down, and they just don't know how to communicate, how to effectively work as a unit? Because I will say one thing I've seen on the Vikings is they've had pretty much the same unit, give or take 1 or 2 guys for like the last 3 years. Some of the guys were pretty unpopular. But it seems like the more they play together, the better they've been getting. And so I think that speaks to the level of like continuity and being able to like play as a cohesive unit, being like a large part of this, and not necessarily like individual skill.
Well, it's consistency, one, in the unit like you're talking about, but it's also consistency in the play calling. You guys have the same head coach, same play caller for the last few years. That has a lot to do with it. Talent and size, fitting the scheme, also has something to do with it. To answer your first question, quarterback or center calling the plays at the line, the coverages, or I'm sorry, the
protections.
Protections. Thank you very much. It depends on, if you got a veteran quarterback, he's probably calling him out. You got a rookie, it's probably the center helping you out a little bit. I mean, what'll happen is the quarterback can see better because he's standing over the center as opposed to center hunched over. So typically, given all the personnel and alignment, the quarterback will call out the Mike backer. Now, he might not actually be the team's middle linebacker, but he's the one. When I say, hey, 23 is the Mike, 54 is the Mike, that's me telling the offensive line, this guy is the center of the defense that we're going to move our protection towards. So you guys do all your games, do all your check calls based off of him. Because wherever the Mike is and wherever the defensive line is aligned, because if you got a guy, 2 as opposed to 3, or you got, 5 or as opposed to 7, it's really going to change your angle, whether it's a pass or a run. And it kind of, some of those are tips for if they're going to run a game, which the Bears have no idea how to defend or protect against. It's really a marriage of the two, but it all starts up front with identifying who is first and where these guys are set up.
Is anything you're seeing, you have more football knowledge than me, but is anything you're seeing in these Bears games, in these first 2 games, does anything indicate to you that maybe Caleb is fucking up his protections?
No.
Or do you think it's being simplified for him, or, do you think the offensive line just...
So I didn't get to watch game 1 because we were overseas. But what I will say, the fucking ignorance of some guys that I actually like watching, like I like Colin Cowherd. I don't need to name a bunch of people, but I like some of these guys' analysis. There are several guys in the media that are throwing Caleb under the bus for holding the ball on too long. Collinsworth fucking last night several times. It's like, okay, he's holding onto the ball because he's shitting his pants, and it's not his fault. Like literally, there was against Tennessee, the one that they got. Well, he held the ball too long. Well, he took the snap, took his first 3 steps. The defensive tackle literally dog walked and then pancaked the center to where the quarterback doesn't have a chance to even look at the field because he has a 6'6", 340-pound behemoth in his face. So he naturally tries to get away. That's because his tackle got beat and tried to pivot out the other direction. Would Tom Brady know to just fall down immediately? Maybe, maybe not. But in your first pro game, you're known for doing some magical things. Oh, let's try something. That's not him holding the ball on too long. He was already fucked from the beginning. That happened a couple times in this game too. So yes, there are a couple of times you got to know where to go with the ball, but he's not getting any help, and you can't expect every rookie quarterback, one, to be either Andrew Luck or C.J. Stroud, literally. But when you're not getting the play calling or the offensive line help, which both of those teams had at the time, it's completely unrealistic. I mean, you look at what Caleb Williams was able to do in the first quarter of the last game. He was like 6 for 6 for 70 yards. He looked precise, on time. He had very quiet, calm, methodical feet. He trusted his feet to progress him through his rhythms. He got the ball. And first off, we ran a 3rd down slant, which was beautiful. We never used to do that. We need to be doing that. Did it to DJ. And then all of a sudden we go away from it because they started blitzing. So when a clean pocket with time to throw, Caleb was dicing them up. Add pressure, everybody got tight. And that's the other part. The play calling became just calling plays instead of calling a game.
Right, yeah, it turned into a lot of swing passes and screens, it seemed like, towards the end.
Well, that's what you do to try to beat the blitz, right? Make them pay for it because you just go to where they aren't. But our guy was supposed to be the guy, the offensive coordinator, that called the game well. So you set up the outside zone run. Then you do the outside zone, you fake it, you go up, get a boot. You get the play action off of that. Then you do the same thing, but then you progress to a screen game or something off of it where it has an extra stem or tail, right, or double move. It's supposed to progress because they are biting on the things that are working. Well, if nothing works or you don't stay with anything long enough to get it to work, you're fucked. And that's exactly what you see.
Who is that? Getsy? Is that the offensive coordinator?
No, he tore it up with the Raiders yesterday as the offensive coordinator who beat the Ravens. We have Shane Waldron, who was with
the Seattle
Seahawks for 3 years. Yeah, Seahawks for 3 years. He turned Geno around, and that's kind of the thing. And what I really don't understand, back to our offensive line coach, who he's been here for 3 years. We've had most of the same line for 3 years, and they've all digressed every year.
Tough
Explain that to me. But not to mention, from Getsy to Waldron, it's supposed to be the same outside zone run, but we just don't run the ball anymore. I don't understand why that's going on. We should have fired the offensive line coach last year before the season started. Week 2, I don't care. Fire him now. I never wanted to call for someone's head in 2 weeks. Do it. You have enough information, enough tape. Fucking cut him.
Really? Offensive coordinator, week 2, gone.
No, the offensive line coach.
Oh, line coach. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. What's his name?
OC might not be far behind. Give me the week 5 or week 8. We'll see. Because there's too much talent to be this far behind.
Who's the line coach?
Chris Morgan. He got fired from Pittsburgh. He got fired from Atlanta, but somehow he's the dude here. Yeah, they had a bunch of good rushing attacks the last couple of years, but that's all inflated because you had all of Justin Fields' scramble touchdown runs. You had 3 50-yard touchdown runs. It's another 150 yards. It takes you from, 17th to 5th in, over the course of a season. So,
yeah,
inflated.
Yeah, I'm sure the fan base will be calling for heads to roll soon. Whether it's the O-line coach or Waldron. Sorry, Waldron. Yeah. So what looking ahead, what are the Bears? What's the Bears' outlook? Who are you guys even playing next week?
Well, ironically enough, we are playing Shane Steichen's Colts.
Okay, I haven't watched anything from that game, but how did they lose to the Packers? Malik Willis? You lost to Malik Willis?
No, they didn't lose to Malik Willis. They lost to Josh Jacobs running the ball 32 times for 150 yards and whatnot, which is exactly what you should be doing for Willis is not a rookie, but what you should be doing for a rookie quarterback. That's exactly what I call it for the Bears to do.
Yeah.
It also looked like what's his name? Anthony Richardson had a couple of bombs that were sweet, but it's starting to look like he's getting more and more inaccurate as time goes on. So
a lot of people do that with him coming into the league.
Right. So yeah, we have the Colts next week. The one thing that has me intrigued right now is that DeForest Buckner might not be playing, which we don't do well against any decent D-line. So that's the one thing that I think there's no excuses to run the ball and also establish some sort of protection. Because they run a very similar defensive scheme as to what the Bears do. So that could be something similar to what Caleb's seen all offseason. And we have a better version of what they do, in my opinion, one statistically, but I think he sees better talent in practice on a week-to-week basis than he will see against the Colts. So
yeah. So you think it's
there?
Do you think make a prediction: win, loss, tie?
I don't even know anymore. My brain's in a fog. I mean, we can win that game. Absolutely. It just depends on who shows up, to be honest. They need to really rattle some cages on that offensive line, and that's all I'm going to say because the defense did pretty well to keep us in that game. They only let up like 1 or 2 touchdowns, I think. No, it was only 1 touchdown because it was 19, and they had a bunch of field goals, which, again, a 55-yard field goal is now a 3-yard or 3-foot putt. Is that what we're doing now?
Yeah, that Kaimi Fairbairn. Wild. Yeah. He was just like knocking them back. That was crazy.
The new Legatron, and especially being a Bears fan and especially being a Vikings fan, is like, this is a mythical beast that we're just like, how the hell? That's not supposed to happen.
Speaking of mythical beasts, my boy Will Reichard, perfect on the season.
Oh boy,
he's gonna be the man. I'm telling you,
the rookie frat boy. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like
Where are you going?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like we've flip-flopped on our preseason sentiments on our team, where you're like, Bears, we're on the up and up, and I was like, Vikings. Well, actually, you know what? I think at first I was like 13-3, and then we lost like 3 cornerbacks, and maybe it was just the 3 cornerbacks, and I was like, not happening. But I don't know what to make of it. I still think we could totally implode. I feel like the Bears will probably hit their stride second half of the season, but I definitely think that something's going to have to click eventually, because I think the defense will keep you in games, but if the offense doesn't figure it out at a certain point, that defense is going to be like, why the hell are we playing this hard? These guys on the other side of the ball.
Last 2 games, they're exactly why we won last week, first off, and so that I have to almost do that again this week. It's going to get old real quick. So to your point, we don't play our first division game till week 11, so we got to figure it out before that. And then it's all division, all for the marbles against you all, the Lions and Green Bay. Mm-hmm. So I would even go so far as to say that you got to figure out probably about week 6 or 7, because we can still go like 6-3, I think, in the first couple of games. I think that's reasonable if they figure it out. But if they play like they did this last week, you're not winning against average teams, which again, that's really going to get Coach Eberflus fired for sure.
I feel like I was predicting that before the season too, right? I think I said my prediction is Eberflus is gone before the end of the season.
You did say that, yeah.
I could see that being the thing that shakes things up. Just watching Hard Knocks, my gut opinion is just like Caleb and Eberflus do not, or like at least Caleb doesn't really like Flus, and Lord knows Caleb's gonna have a longer leash than Flus will. So we'll see. Maybe they turn it around before that. But I think if they, if they start the season 1-6, 1-7, 2-8, I feel like heads are gonna start rolling there for sure. Because this is really. You guys were planning for success this year. There wasn't really much of an on-ramp for Caleb. It was like we geared up everything for this year to be like the opening to our Super Bowl window. And if you're not even on a trajectory to hit the playoffs,
that's how starved we've been. And to that point too, prior to that, what a waste of time and what a popped balloon that whole Hard Knocks experience was. That was brutal. And looking back on it now, it was just a complete waste of time because we didn't learn anything about anything. We learned that Foles is a good person, but literally everybody that they followed is not on the team except for our backup safety. So what was that even for? You know what I mean?
It was a running back, very fluffy.
The lineman got cut. But you didn't learn anything about anybody that's going to be with the team for any amount of time. You didn't learn anything about how they want to play football. Not that you learned a ton. Like, you're not going to learn schematically. They're not going to give that away. We know that.
Right.
You didn't really learn personality. It just felt like everybody's in high school. Oh, yeah, we're great. Da. We're going to have this issue for the next several weeks. And I was hoping to at least learn something personality-wise to lead to what is the identity of this team. And the identity of this team has been the same since 2004. Defense plays great, probably wins the game a couple times. So does special teams. Offense gets nothing going. That hasn't been any different since the Fields era, since the Trubisky era, since whatever awkward moment was before that. And then we had those 2 years with Cutler and Trestman. They put up tons of offense, but they lost the entire defense under Tucker. Before that, it was all defense with Rex Grossman to get to the Super Bowl. Before that, they all sucked. So, it's just so typical Bears already, and I think that's why you're going to see all these incendiary, like, it seems like a quick reaction, and yes, we're putting on a pedestal because this is the greatest opportunity we've ever had, I would say probably ever had since 85. That's why the expectations are high, is because we're so starved and so used to this bullshit, and that's why these leashes are going to be short, in my opinion.
Well, so let me ask this. What's the difference between the start of the Caleb Williams legacy and the start of Justin Fields? Because you're saying this is the best opportunity you've had. Was Caleb Williams dealt a better hand than Justin Fields?
Significantly and without question. I would say the offensive lines are about the same, but it looks more terrible now, one, because expectations are higher, but the defense is better now than with Fields, because keep in mind, Trubisky is the one that had the Fangio defense with Khalil Mack and Hicks.
Yep.
Fields did not. He had a transition of some good, some bad.
He had that one big fella in the middle of your line that always ruined our day.
Ian Hicks, baby, 96.
God, is he in the league still?
I don't. He was with Tampa last year. I don't know if he's still playing. He was getting old.
He always ruined our day.
He was an absolute unit because he's what, like 6'8" and 340 pounds.
Too big for our interior line, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But you got to think too, like Fields' best receiver. Oh, well, he had DJ Moore for a year. Was like a washed-up Allen Robinson. He had 1,000-yard year. They were trying to convince us that Darnell Mooney could be a wide receiver one. It's just like, oh, we had Jimmy Graham at age 40. And so to answer your question, Caleb has a way better deck in front of him. It's just to reemphasize, the offensive line is about the same under Fields. I don't think it's better. I don't think it's worse. It's newer, but it sticks out that much more because expectations are higher.
Yeah, that makes sense. And listen, let's not get too down on the Bears. Things change so quickly in the NFL.
No, this is unacceptable. It needs to be fixed now.
Just look at how this year has started with, Saints, Vikings, top of the leaderboard. They were supposed to both be just absolute junk teams this year. Saints were supposed to be like the worst offense and the worst team in the NFL, and they're dropping 40 bombs like it's not like on good teams on the Cowboys. He was on the Vikings one year. He wasn't that great.
Right.
Crazy stuff. But yeah, we'll see. Huh? I think what happened to his arm? He couldn't throw it 10 yards downfield last season. Did it just recover?
It must have.
Yeah.
It must have. So I want to ask you too, so on the same vein of looking forward to next week, you guys have the Texans coming up. I mean, Nico Collins was a beast in our game. CJ was just completely dialed in, unflappable. The defense was swarming. It looks like a lot of the ways that you guys want to blitz. Obviously, we talked at the beginning of the episode about that cover 3 San Francisco defense, but man, they were against exotic with some of their blitzes too. They were physical. They were fast. Is that something you think you've played so far? Because again, you just played the Niners. I would think you'd be pretty schematically in tune to how you want to attack that, right?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the game plan should be fairly similar. We just played Debo, big body, possession receiver, pretty akin to what you're going to get with Nico. I want to say Texans might have more weapons, but like the Niners also have a ton of weapons. And I do think that, Flores' scheme probably works best against less experienced quarterbacks. So, Brock Purdy, this is his 3rd year starting, if we don't count that first year where he got subbed in. But yeah, I could see it giving CJ Stroud fits. That being said, we had a couple. So the interesting wrinkle in this matchup is the pipeline between the Texans and the Vikings was extremely strong this offseason. So the Texans got.
Is it really?
Yeah, they got Daniil Hunter. I want to say they got one other guy from our team.
You guys got Greenard,
right? Basically, we swapped Daniil and Greenard. We also got Blake Cashman from them, our current. I don't know if you'd call him our middle linebacker, but he's wearing the green dots
inside. Yep.
Yeah, and God, I swear the Texans grabbed someone else from us this offseason, but there should be plenty.
You could claim Diggs if you want to.
Nah, we won't claim him.
All right.
But there's plenty of insider knowledge on both of these teams.
Did you guys have Cam Akers for a time as a backup?
Yes, he was. He was on our team last year, so he played a little bit yesterday against the Bears. There's going to be plenty of insider knowledge, which I think will be interesting. Am I optimistic about us winning? No. After 2 weeks, can I see it happen? Yes. I don't know. It's going to be one of those things where like the Vikings are going to have to keep proving themselves, because even me as a fan, I need to see a lot more wins before I believe it's legit. Like I trust the coaching, but I don't know. I think everyone's just probably in the same boat with like, can Sam Darnold keep it up? I feel like everyone's just waiting for that inevitable head scratching Darnold game where he like loses it for us in big fashion. I could see that being next week. Week where, the Texans throw the defense they threw at the Bears at Darnold. They get to Darnold 6 or 7 times. He starts seeing ghosts. I could see another really low scoring game, just like with the Bears, where it's, no one gets more than 20 points and Darnold is getting sacked, throwing picks.
That's exactly where I wanted to go with it. So first question is going to be, how you feeling so far? And I think you kind of just led into that for next week. It's nice, but we'll see, right?
Yeah.
Because stat line from last week, 17 to 26, 268 yards, averaging 10.3 yards per attempt, which I will say is significantly more than what we saw last night on CJ Stroud and Caleb. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He had 3 sacks for a loss of 10 yards. His quarterback rating was 109. Pretty solid. That's better than I think we would have expected, which only speaks to OC's play calling, right?
100%.
Because, the running game was pretty balanced in the fact that you got 10 touches for Chandler, 9 for Jones. You got 114 yards for those two. Darnold had another 30. Evenly distributed balls, 5 for Aaron Jones, 4 for JJ, 3 for Naylor, 2 down the line. So when Hawkinson gets back, maybe that's when you say you got the game where Sam Darnold's not good, but then he gets his tight end back. Maybe you're starting to feel yourself a little bit there. Is that something? What I'm ultimately setting up for is that something where Darnold plays good all year. You got JJ getting healthy for next season. Do you just let him walk if he has, leads you the guys to the playoffs?
I don't think you do, and I honestly I think that would be great because as evidenced through 2 weeks of football. No rookie quarterback has thrown a touchdown yet. No rookie quarterback has thrown more touchdowns than J.J. McCarthy. Another way you could say that. And I think it's just evidence of, how it just seems like a terrible idea to throw rookie quarterbacks in their first year. It doesn't seem like it's a good idea.
I've been saying that since before Mahomes. Oh, my God, thank you.
Yeah, and I think if Sam Darnold plays great, he gets us to 11 wins. So here's the tough thing because the whole
11 though, holy shit, 11.
Hey, we haven't lost one yet. Who knows? Because it's that weird paradox where you start winning with Darnold, you end up in the same position you were in with Kirk Cousins, where you gotta pay the man, but is he going to get us over the hump? And the whole idea, and just knowing from reading interviews and stuff with the general manager Kwesi. It's like the whole value of having a good young quarterback is like he's on the rookie contract so you can build the team around him. So you have that value prop of, let Darnold play. Maybe I think perfect scenario, maybe we get one more year out of Darnold, or we get as many years out of Darnold until J.J. McCarthy is undeniable in practice, where it's he truly needs this opportunity. There's no question that he can, he's a special talent. And maybe that takes 2 years of sitting or 3 years of sitting, but then again, going back to the GM perspective, then you only got 2 more years on that rookie contract, and that's a pretty tight window. So we'll see. I think, and then the other part of that is, Darnold plays great, gets us to 10, 11 wins, has a maybe a borderline Pro Bowl season, the way things are looking right now. Will he settle for a 1 or 2 year contract? Does he want to go get a long-term contract at another team? It's another, wrinkle to throw into that is, of that whole equation.
He's going to end up in the Baker Mayfield situation where he gets the prove it year, which he is right now, like Baker got in Tampa. The issue is that Tampa, Baker had that year to also accumulate equity in the team and stay with that team. Who's going to him? I think that plays to your advantage if he's not been in their building in that prove it year. You know what I'm saying? Oh, geez. Yeah. Also, I just put that together. Baker and Sam, what do they have in common other than what I just said?
The Panthers.
The Panthers, dude. The Red Rocket is now starting for the Panthers. The Bears royally fucked that organization. Bryce got benched. I think we just completely proved that those two quarterbacks, not great, but can be middle of the pack quarterbacks in the league. It's not them. It's the Panthers. The Panthers really suck.
Yeah. Well, it goes to show how much
Teddy
coaching matters.
Before that, wasn't it?
Yeah. They haven't been.
And Matt Corral.
Yeah. They haven't been successful since Cam, I'm pretty sure.
And even then he was going down. It was basically the Broncos broke him in that Super Bowl and they never came back. Kuechly had to know to get out. He retired early. Then they traded. They trade away CMC. They trade away the first pick, or for the first pick, they gave away 2 1s, 2 2s, DJ Moore. They ended up with the wrong quarterback. Then they trade Brian Burns for 2 2s to the Giants, who was also frustrated because they suck. And then their best player on the whole roster, their defensive tackle, is out for the season with a meniscus.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to tank an organization.
Yeah, hey, good glow up for Christian McCaffrey. Things worked out for him. It would have been sad to see him just waste his career in Carolina.
Oh, well, he would have been a fantasy, 400 points every week.
Yeah, seriously.
For every season. Speaking of which, that's totally screwing me. My guillotine league is blowing up my phone right now because right now I have the lowest points going into tonight. And it's pretty close, but I need 14 points out of Goddard, or someone else needs 11 points out of Bijan. Or excuse me, I need Goddard to outscore Bijan by 4 points. I misread that.
You need Goddard to outscore Bijan by 4 points?
Yes, and a half-point standard. It's not going to happen. I'm probably done after week 2 after winning the whole thing last year.
You know, there's a chance Bijan hurts himself early, you know?
This is so brutal. I'm going to text you this real quick to just so you just see what I'm up against. This is nuts.
Yeah,
We
that's
haven't had a week this close, I don't think, all last year.
really.
Yeah. I mean, we did. I did once against like one other guy, but it wasn't a Monday night game that decided it. It was like my guy was going Monday and had to go, or his guy was going Monday, not head to head like this.
Oh, someone's running
So you'll see
stats for you over here.
Yeah, halfway down, Uncle Luke.
What do these numbers mean? 50.6, 40.56, 36.
That's where our rosters currently have for points for the week.
You only have 36 points?
Yeah, terrible.
Jesus.
It's a half. Granted, it's a half point, and I've only got one running back because Rashad White got hurt, and CMC hasn't played yet this season.
Oh.
So those are my first 2 picks. I'm totally screwed. And then I got DJ Moore and Amari Cooper, who haven't done diddly squat. Goff had a down week.
Yikes.
It's been a tough road to hoe. Oh, and because CMC got hurt, guess who my other running back was? Miles Sanders. Because otherwise, it was going to be Isaac Guerrero.
I have no idea who that is.
One carry for 0 yards for the Niners. He's the 5th running back for the Niners or something like that.
Oh,
yeah, I got
watched
CMC
that game. I don't
and
even remember
Hockenson.
his name.
Exactly.
That is unfortunate. I will be cheering for Goddard and against Bijan.
Well, maybe with AJ Brown out.
Is he out?
I thought I saw that, but that was Twitter like 4 hours ago. So who knows?
Damn. Oh, actually, maybe that was official yesterday. I think they might have made that official.
Yeah.
I'm also off to a rough start on fantasy. I am staring down an 0-2 start for both of my main leagues and my work leagues. I'm getting my ass absolutely handed to me by my female cousin in the family league.
Love that.
Yep. Only win I got on the season so far is against my dear wife. That, at least I got that going for me.
Oh, that's brutal.
We'll see.
How does she feel? How do you get to sleep in the bed at night or what?
She's fine with it. She couldn't care less.
Okay.
I actually do have a 50% chance to win tonight, basically, in my main league, but I need, let's see here, what do I need? I need Saquon and Devonta Smith to outscore Jake Elliott, the Philadelphia kicker, by like, 25 points. I need Saquon and Devonta to outscore their kicker by 25 points.
I was reading, or no, what was I listening to? I was listening to a podcast. Maybe it was Rich Eisen. Maybe it was Coward. Maybe it was one of those guys. They're talking about just kind of how petty Howie is, the GM for the Eagles. Is like, knowing that all the stuff that went on with Hard Knocks, how the GM for the Giants is like, or the owner was like, well, if he goes within the division, and now he's out there, and we saw Saquon eat for 4 touchdowns, where it was last week, 2 touchdowns and 1 million yards, that you're probably going to see, this is his prediction, and I'm regurgitating because I agree. The second I heard it, it's like, oh, yeah. You're probably going to see a lot of those tush pushes convert to Saquon touchdowns just out of spite for the interdivision. Fuck you.
Well,
100%.
Yeah, agree. Well, and I think that's multifaceted. It's one, a big fuck you to the Giants, but also, protect your franchise quarterback. You've seen Pat Mahomes got his knee tore up from QB sneaks. Plus, Jason Kelce isn't there, so I feel like there's a lot larger risk for that tush push to get fucked up without him there. So we'll see. Not. I don't think it's gonna be my year in fantasy, but who knows? There's always time to turn it around. Not Kamara, but Pacheco seems like he's out for the season, but unclear of who you want in that backfield. I saw just before this call, apparently the Chiefs are having Kareem Hunt in for a workout, which I've had him on my team like 3 out of the last 5 years, and it's been a good experience. I might try and snag him off of waivers.
Oh, man, wouldn't that be a kick, huh?
Just a blast from the past. Okay. Took me a second. Okay. Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe I'll go after him on waivers. I mean, my 0-2 ass could use the help. But
Dude, I'm about to get eliminated week 2 in the guillotine. I finished 14 of 19 in my daily fantasy, and there's a very strong chance I go 0-6 in my regular leagues for the first 2 weeks. I
tough year.
probably should have not gone on vacation and done more fantasy homework because
Listen, the more you do, the worse.
Mortgage.
The more research, the worse you perform anyway. So,
Oof.
Hey, listen, just work those waiver wires. Hope for the best.
Yeah, we got to spend money, so I might just, that's the philosophy too. Is you got $100 to spend on waivers this year, you can't take it with you at the end of the season, so you might as well spend it.
Right.
Let's drop 50 on Kareem right now.
Shit. Think that's what he's going for?
No, he'd probably go for about 5, but
Yeah, can't take it with you.